Hello, my name's Evan Sinisak. I'm recording a demo video for my Info 6016 network programming final project. I decided to make a 4-player Pong game. Just forewarning for clarity's sake, it's not done. It's kind of a mess. But I was focusing on getting some of the gameplay working and then just getting the networking stuff to work to showcase this. Because I have to close at work tonight, which is an 8-hour shift from 5 to 1 a.m., and I couldn't get anyone to cover the shift. So, if you are seeing this video, then I did not have time to re-record it or work on anything else before final submission, which is very likely. So, way I set this up is that on the server I'm running my physics system, and it's keeping track of 5 different particles. The one particle is for the ball, the other 4 particles is for the paddles that the players control, and the walls of the play area are bounded by plane contact generators. So the ball will never move out of bounds. So just set up my 5 particles on the server and then enter into the forever loop. If the keyboard hit occurs, escape closes. 1 changes the server frequency to 1 Hz. 2 changes it to 10. 3 changes it to 60, and 4 changes it to 100. And then just continually run server update, and at the end delete the particle world. So in the UDP server, I built this off of the code that we were given for the example. Basically, I decided to treat this similar to the chat server, where every frame, basically the client and the server are sending each other messages, and then depending on what the message type is, the client or the server interprets and handles it in the respective expected message buffer. And just added some stuff to the player struct just to keep track of what I'm doing, and changed the updates per sec to a global non-constant so that it's changeable. So when the server gets created, it starts up, finds a socket, and starts listening. And then on every, it's non-blocking, of course. And then on every update, it reads any potential data and then checks if it's been long enough since the previous update. If it has, and there's enough players connected, then we update the world, and then we start updating the player positions and broadcasting that information back. Update players goes through the vector of particles and the vector of players, and just sets the particle position to the player position. And the ball is handled in the time step. So in broadcast update, we tell the client there's been player movement. Go through and copy each of the player's positions as well as the velocity of the ball for Dead Reckoning, and send it all over to all the clients. Broadcast start message, same idea. Tell all the players that we're ready to start. Game can start. Broadcast don't start message handles when there aren't enough players in the game yet. Get player by port does as was expected, and I just set the initial positions at the same time, as well as which player they are. Read data receives from the listening socket. Then we interpret the message ID. If it's the ready to start message, then we tell the player what player number they are, set their ready to true, and go through the list of players and check that they are all ready. If they are all ready, then we can broadcast the start message and start moving the ball. Otherwise, we broadcast the don't start message, which just prevents players from moving their paddles and stuff before everyone is ready. Player movement updates the particle positions of each paddle to the, or it updates the each player has their player number, which corresponds to the index in the vector of particles for which paddle is whose. So when the client says that they've moved, this is mostly for client-side prediction handling. I realized I did it by accident and then went to server handling input after. So when client-side prediction is on, the player can move their character and then tells the client or tells the server where they are, which then broadcasts the positions to everyone else. And then in non-predicted position, handles it the same way, but the client handles it differently. So then send player ID just gets the player by port, which if the player hasn't been made yet, makes them, and then gets the player number from the player and sends it over to the client. And that's basically it for the server. In the client main, I put all the graphics stuff that we've been working on. And I tried to make the weight work. Oh, that's why it didn't work. I'm dumb. Hopefully that doesn't break everything. If it does, I just comment it back out. Um, yeah, okay, good. So yeah, press enter to start. Once you do, client tells the server that they're ready to start. After they're ready to start, make the all the graphic stuff and open the window. And then here, same setup as the particles, except with meshes. So each mesh index will correspond to the same particle index, which also corresponds to the player number. So the ball is 0, player 1 is paddle 1, player 2 is 2, 3, 4. Load textures. And then we go into our main loop, which, is there a close? There is not a close. That's fine. Which basically updates the client, which gets the position of all the other meshes. Then goes through the list of meshes. If Dead Reckoning is on and the mesh is the ball, then we add the ball's velocity. My microphone was muted that entire time. God, flipping. Okay. What I was saying. Okay. Is being recorded. Sound is going through. Basically, Dead Reckoning predicts the location of the ball using its velocity, which is passed through from the server. The bounding fixes, or is a partial fix for client-side prediction and interpolation to keep all the objects within the bounds of the play area. And then each mesh gets drawn, and that's it. Then in the UDP client, message types that correspond. and I basically added the server ticks to the client so that it updates at the same speed or at a speed rather than just every frame. I don't even think I'm using the set position. Just didn't want to get rid of anything and break stuff. Non-blocking, of course. Create the socket. And then in update, I just add the same logic that's on the server. Check if the elapsed time has been long enough. If it has been, then we can receive messages. And if client-side prediction is on, then I can send the mesh position rather than just where I want to move the mesh and particle. Receive, get the message type. If it's start, then we set the playtime. We set playtime to true. If it's still don't start, then set it to false just as a safety. If it's update position, grab the XYZ and the player. If client-side prediction is on and the player num is the same as the player number, then I don't update the mesh position. It just uses the mesh position stored on the client. Otherwise, we update every mesh to the position on the server. And if Dead Reckoning is on, then I pull out the ball velocity from the message as well. Get player number gets the player number and sets it to this client's global player number. And then just default. Not using the default send, I just made a bunch of my own that each make a buffer, fill it with whatever information that particular message needs. So send start just sends the start message. Send position sends the update positions with the XYZ of the player's mesh, since the others are all handled by the server and the respective clients. And then send it to the server, and then send non-predicted position. Has a vec3 input that takes the current position of the mesh and adds the want to move and sends that number to the server, which then updates the position for everyone. And I think that's basically it. There was one other thing I wanted to quickly change. In here. Because it has been somewhat difficult to tell if it's actually bouncing off other than when it slows right down. And okay, I'm gonna build. And I'm not sure if this is a oh. You want to open the graphics. Okay, it's not actually receiving. Okay. I was afraid of that. Yeah, I can't figure out how to handle waiting for the server to actually connect, because I've opened the client before the server and it connected fine before, but so there's a little game scene. Maybe I do client create socket in here. Probably. I don't have time to do that though right now. So I can press every direction. If I open here, we're player 1, and if I press 1, update rate becomes 1, 3, 10, 60. I'll put it back to 10 for now. Not Windows Defender. And if I open up more clients, specifically 4, so nothing, still nothing, game's not gonna start. Whoops. We're at player 3. And let's enter player 4. Ball starts moving. And once player 4 catches up, and as you can see, the ball is in different positions. The background skybox is dependent on the time that the graphics window has been open. So players 1 and 2. So player 1 is the red ball. So if I press up, it starts moving up. If I press down, it starts moving down. And on the other clients, we can see it eventually update. Player 2 is the blue ball. So if it's updating on player 1 before player 2, probably because it's at a higher refresh rate. So if yeah, there we go, 60 Hertz. Now it updates a bit more consistently. Player 3 is the green ball. Hold left and right arrow keys to move it. And player 4 is the yellow ball at the bottom. And the pink ball is the ball. So if I update the server frequency, the ball moves a little bit more smoothly. Player 1. Set it to 100 so it can catch up. Player 2. So then there is the other things. So for the client-side prediction, if I press 4, nope, 4 is not what I want. If I press 5, is this not 2? Oh. I guess I'll do it on 4, since that one's crashing, and I don't want to close it. So if I press 5, client-side prediction is now on. So now the ball moves on its own and then sends the update to everyone else. Which I don't think it's going to because 2 is crashing. Oh, no, there it goes. So if I move back, maybe I set the server frequency to 100. Yeah, it's very slow, very buggy, very hacky in a lot of ways. And 6 turns the Dead Reckoning on, which put that in a pretty interesting place. I think the ball got stuck. I think my server's dying. Well, it's interesting to see what happens when one of the clients dies. I think that's all I have. If I have time to do more and the submission box is still open Sunday, I'll try to get maybe actual server reconciliation in and maybe some more game in, like the ball changing color and a score being kept. But yep, the ball of the pink play ball is controlled by the server. And the others are all handled by clients. And I think for the most part, I have everything that was required. There's no reset and there's no rounds. And I didn't do server reconciliation or tweening. So again, if the submission box is still open tomorrow and I have time either tonight after work or tomorrow during the day, I'll try to get some of that in. Otherwise, thank you for the semester. I did, despite my difficulties with network programming, I do feel like I learned something this semester. Thank you. Bye.